All right, welcome back into ARC Southeast Texas. September is Suicide Awareness Month. The Crisis Center of Southeast Texas is breaking the silence surrounding suicide to reduce stigma and promote resources. We got Bonnie Spots joining us this morning to talk a little bit about this month, obviously, but kind of just year-round how, you know, awareness needs to be brought and resources given to folks. That way we can break the stigma and talk more about it and hopefully save lives.
Yes, and I want to say suicide is preventable. If we pay attention, usually most people who kill themselves by suicide have a mental health diagnosis, you know, and so if we pay attention, one of the things that we're focusing on is young adults, kids between 10 and 24, and that's the second leading cause of death in that age group.
Wow.
So that's pretty big. And so we're trying to focus on that and get out to schools and out in the community and, you know, tell people about it and tell them what to look for and what to do if you see it and that kind of thing.
It seems like among that age group, it does kind of unfortunately seem like it's more common nowadays, but how do you guys address that whenever you're going to the schools and kind of target that age group specifically?
How do we target the age group? Or
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we go and we talk to the age group and we tell them, of course, at that time, especially now starting at 10, you're beginning to go into puberty, so that brings about changes. Kids are mean today. If you're in school and you don't look just right or you don't have on the right jeans or whatever, so there is a lot of stress. There's a lot of competition, you know, a lot of expectations. And so, you know, these kids really do have stress. In 2024, 40% of kids, high school kids, said they had actually contemplated suicide.
Wow.
That's a pretty, you know, and really had dark thoughts. That's a huge statistic. And I'm sure no one's going home and telling their parents, hey, I'm, you know, thinking, and I know as a parent, when my kids were teens, they were moody. Yeah. Like if they went in their room and sat there for an hour, I didn't think anything unless they, you know, stayed. Because they're just, you know, they go through these phases. So we really want parents to be aware and other kids to be aware. Yeah. And for the kids going through that, to be aware that there is help. You know, you don't have to go through that alone.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are some of the signs that the parents can look out for? Or even, you know, school kids, their friends, maybe they're kind of a little bit worried about them. Because you're right, kids, teenagers especially, they don't really talk a whole lot sometimes, especially not with parents about certain situations. Right. So how can folks keep an eye out for that kind of stuff? Okay,
some of the things would be a big change in their personality and the way they're acting, sleeping too much or not at all, eating too much or not at all, social isolation, withdrawing from things that they used to be interested in, signs of depression. And a lot of people think, oh, that's just kids, you know, teenagers, they just go in and out of depression and stuff. But today we're seeing real depression among this age group. And so we need to pay attention to it and really do something about it and not just blow that off, oh, that's teenagers, you know. Yeah.
So obviously very important too. And this whole month, I mean, you guys are probably doing lots of good stuff this month and then year round, but what's some of the important things that you guys got going on this month that people can kind of reach out for?
With this month, we're doing two things for awareness. One is we're inviting everyone in the city, anyone with a business or whatever, to come out and write on their sidewalk in chalk, which is cheap, just to write, stay another day. Because sometimes if you can catch someone who's having suicidal ideation and just talk to them and say, you know, it's a momentary thing. If you can get them past that moment, that it may not happen or they may not even have a suicidal ideation. Especially with kids, a lot of times, like you didn't make the football team or you didn't make cheerleader, and so you're going to kill yourself. Or your boyfriend broke up with you, because they can't see far into the future. They can't see that, you know, the long term, that this is just a hiccup, you know. So they're thinking, this is the end of the world. I didn't make cheerleader. I just can't get through life, you know. And so we need to teach our children resilience too. Teach them how to fail and how to, you know, survive that, have a little bit of resilience and bounce back. But, you know, kids are taking everything so seriously.
Yeah. And the chalk is such a simple gesture, right? And also a cheap one where, you know, I've heard time and time again where maybe someone knew someone or someone themselves has been in that situation where they've had someone give them such a small gesture, like even a, hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling? And that has helped them get through another day and to not try something. So it really is very small gestures there.
Right, and kindness counts, you know. Really, there is, you know, someone that works with you that's just kind of, you know, a wallflower and doesn't talk that much. It doesn't take that much to say, hey, come sit at our table, you know, just to reach out and to just be kind, you know. Sometimes that makes all the difference. Sometimes people feel unnoticed. Another group that we see that has super high stats is kids that are LGBTQ. A lot of times they tell their parents and it's not accepted, or their friends or whatever, their church, they're having a lot of stress like that, and that's a major trauma to them. And so kids that go through any kind of trauma, the loss of a parent, sometimes divorce. You know, it's just so traumatic to them, and you know, they're being involved in things they shouldn't be involved in, and they'll feel suicidal. So we just need to watch what's going on in their life. If their boyfriend broke up and they're in their room for 3 days and won't eat, maybe go check about that and say, we need to talk to someone. And today, mental health services are on every corner. It used to be a little bit more difficult, and they're cheap, pretty cheap. You know, most insurance policies cover them. There's all kinds of places that have a sliding scale, so get your kids some help, you know. And our organization, Rape and Suicide Crisis, the Crisis Center, will provide free counseling for people that have suicidal ideation. So if you have a child struggling and you can't afford it, call around. There are resources where you can get free help, and it'll make all the difference.
Yeah, that's great that you guys offer that too. So if folks are interested in reaching out to you guys at the Crisis Center, what's the best way to go about that?
If they're making a crisis call, it's 1-800-7-WE-CARE. If they're calling us, it's 409-832-6530. So they can, if they're just calling to talk or to, you know, get someone to come and speak and that kind of thing.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for stopping by and giving us lots of good, valuable information today. So we appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right, still to come this morning. Enrollment is up at Lamar State College, Port Arthur. We'll take a look at some of those numbers after the break.